Welcome back, my friends. Module 5. Can you believe we're almost halfway through the modules, which is crazy. Then this is a module, we're talking about food voices, that often ends up being that module that makes things really click for people. And so I'm excited that you're here. I have no doubt that it's going to offer a lot of clarity for you that kind of brings things together from the past few modules. And so we've covered, breaking up with diet culture, why it's so important to ditch the diet mentality. Talked about how to honor hunger, what does it feel like, how to honor our fullness, and talked about full permission to eat. And so now we're going to just add in a little more, we're going to fill in the cracks here. Nothing crazy with action steps in this module, just having some important mindset shifts to really fill in the cracks that are probably there. And so what we're going to add in this week is really good information on how to understand some of the diet culture voices that are in all of us. And that can be really, really helpful when you're thinking about what you want to eat. Or maybe, again, if you ate past the point of fullness, it helps you kind of navigate all of those experiences. And it just gives us a lot of clarity over how we think about food. Okay, so let's talk about our different food voices, shall we? One of the main action steps this week will be to notice your food voices and to shift from negative to positive food voice. All right, and so we'll talk about 3 negative food voices that are our diet culture food voices, and then the 3 really helpful food voices. There's a handout with this all in it for you so that you can have this all written out, but feel free to take notes as you see fit. So we have what's called the food police. The food police can be both internal and external. All right, we have our own internal food police. That's the voice that's being very judgmental and deciding if we are good or bad based on our food choices. It's like, oh, Julie, you were so good today. You had a salad, or you were bad today because you had a cheeseburger. Like that's the food police voice, right? Are you following the rules like a police would? Are you following the law of your food rules? And it's very, very, very judgmental. Now, of course, that can also be outside of us. We look at food labels, guilt-free, sinless. Like, are you kidding me? Like, even food labels are food policing us. Or maybe the diet commercial is food policing us. Or maybe it's your family member or friend who's like, oh, you shouldn't have that. Oh, I shouldn't have that. And then you're like, oh, I shouldn't have it either, right? So we see how food police voices are all around us. They're very judgmental. And this is where food guilt comes from, right? Because we feel like we did something wrong. But remember, eating is never wrong. Eating is how we live, how we nourish our bodies. We didn't commit any crime by eating chips or pizza or a burger or a donut. There's no crime committed at all. You were simply eating. And often, remember, even if we say binge or feel out of control, it's our bodies taking care of us, saying, ooh, like, you need more food. And so much love and compassion for ourselves. There's no need to feel guilty in our food experience, ever. Okay? The next one is our nutrition informant. And we'll contrast this to our nutrition ally, and you'll see how they're different. With this one, we're going to really see how it's a very judgmental voice. It's very similar to the food police, only it's going to say, oh, you are either healthy or not healthy based on what you ate. And it's not looking at what actually feels good in your body and what feels good to you, but it's looking at just the myths of diet culture that are out there. It's kind of aligns like, oh, you shouldn't have that. It's like, so it says who? Oh, just diet culture? Okay, that's bullshit, right? And then it's being really judgy on, oh, you're good or bad based on, you're healthy or unhealthy based on what you ate. So that's the nutrition informant. A lot of shoulds. Oh, I should eat this because it's, quote, good for me. I should have that. I shouldn't have that because it's not good for me. So it's just based on all these really arbitrary food rules that, again, are just keeping us at war with food. And it's attaching our morality, right, to what we eat. This is why it's so important that we neutralize food too, that we don't tie our morality to our food choices. We are good and worthy people no matter what we eat, period. Okay? So what I like to say with the nutrition informant also in the food police is I want you guys to notice how these voices feel. The nutrition informant is going to feel really ooh, icky, contracted, oh God, it's going to feel very enclosed. And we'll contrast that to the other voices later, okay? But it's going to feel very icky and shitty and judgmental and ugh, all right? Now, these voices are hurtful because they're hurtful in themselves, but also because they lead to our diet rebel, right? A rebel only can exist if there's rules to rebel against. And so our diet rebel is that third voice. That's that voice that here's the food police, be like, no, 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 no. Or here's the nutrition informant, you shouldn't. And then it's like, yeah, oh yeah, like watch me. And really, the rebel has this really wonderful intention. Like as human beings, we want to be autonomous. We want to make our own decisions. And so the rebel is actually a power move of us being like, no, I want my power back. Don't tell me what to do. And that's not a bad thing at all. So we see how even the rebel has a really positive intention of wanting us to be autonomous in our decisions and in our life. What? Yeah. But remember, so remember though, a rebel can only exist when there are rules. When there's the shoulds of that nutrition informant, shoulds from that food police, or should nots. And so that's why, again, we need unconditional permission, zero rules, because when there's zero rules, there's zero reason for your diet rebel to ever come back out. See how it all goes together? Yeah. The rebel is often why we end up feeling powerless around food. Oh, I can't stop eating it because we didn't have permission and we're rebelling. And so we're going all out. And so again, if you notice that you ate past the point of fullness or ate food that just doesn't feel good to you, like, oh man, was I rebelling? Okay, so that means I have food rules. Okay, so that just means that I need to work on giving myself more permission to eat this. So see, we can't fail. You're just always learning. You're always growing. That's why I love intuitive eating so much. You can't fail. I'm going to say that a million more times until you fully believe it. So let's look at our positive voices, shall we? The positive voices include the food anthropologist. And this food voice is simply, think about an anthropologist. That's a scientist, right? And a scientist is a neutral observer, or should be a neutral observer of whatever it's studying. And so the anthropologist is just like noticing and making observations without any judgment. It's just like collecting data. It's really helpful information for us. So if we eat past the point of fullness, anthropologist without judgment says, okay, this feels really uncomfortable in my body. This doesn't feel physically well. Or it's like, ooh, that food felt really good. That food gave me a lot of energy. That food tasted wonderful. Oh, that food, it just didn't do it for me. I didn't like the texture. That food made me feel ill. So it's just gathering information of like, oh, this felt this way. That's so helpful as we become, again, our own experts. And you already are your own expert, but diet culture has kind of robbed you of that. And so this is really a process of you becoming your own expert again, of you being able to say, oh yeah, like that food works for me. That food does not feel good for me. This amount of food feels really good for lunchtime typically, or I like to have this for breakfast, or whatever it is. Like this is what feels good in my body. And you learn that from just gathering all this information from whenever you eat via the food anthropologist. Okay, the nurturer is our next voice. It's a voice of love and compassion, and it provides this positive self-talk. This is so important because the old diet culture voice would be like, oh, I can't believe it. You're so bad. How dare you? And then we spiral, right? So the nurturer comes in. It's the opposite of guilt. It's like, hey, it's okay. No big deal. You're human. We're never going to be perfect. It's really okay. No crime was committed. You're all right. And it's the nurturer that allows us to go, okay, I'm okay. And then we can turn to the anthropologist and be like, all right, so what did I learn here? Right? What did I learn from this? How does this feel? What would I choose next time? The nurture is that voice that allows us to get into that really wonderful space of curiosity and inquiry that, again, empowers us to have a wonderful relationship with food going forward. So that's the nurturer. And then we have our nutrition ally. And again, this is the voice that we're really going to contrast with the nutrition informant. This is the voice that there's no judgment here. It's the voice in your head that helps you make decisions on what to eat that's going to feel best for you in that moment. And so it might be like, okay, like, yeah, like what's going to feel good in your body? What's going to maybe give you energy? What's going to taste good and be satisfying? And so it's going to ask all those questions. And sometimes it's going to say, oh yeah, like a crunchy salad sounds so good, or I'm going to add veggies to this meal because I want to add some more like green nutrients, or I want to add like some carrots or whatever. It might say things like that from a place of love. And so it feels expansive. Yeah, that sounds good. That feels good. It's light. It's easy. It's not like, oh, I should, right? It's not that contraction. It's like an expansion of like, yeah, okay, that's totally what I want. That sounds really, really wonderful. I don't have to, but yeah, I want to. Or the nutrition ally can also say, yeah, right now you're really hungry and I'm really craving something really like big and substantial, and like a cheeseburger is what I really like. That's going to really do it for me right now. So the nutrition ally isn't always going to guide us towards like the salad. It might sometimes be like, yeah, I want pizza. Like, yeah, actually that burger is going to really satisfy that need I have right now. And so trusting that, right? Trusting that voice. Yeah, that sounds really good. Yes, that is what I want right now. I want more protein right now. I want more whatever it is right now. Okay, so trusting that voice. And again, it feels easy, it feels open, feels expansive, doesn't feel so icky and shooty and contracty like the nutrition informant does. So those are the three voices that then make up your intuitive eater. All right. The food anthropologist, the nurturer, the ally, combined make up the voice of that intuitive eater, which is that voice of inner wisdom that guides you to make whatever best choice it is for your body's needs in that moment. Y'all, let me tell you this. If you are really wanting and craving a big hearty cheeseburger, the salad is not going to cut it. And then you're just going to go on the rest of your day being like, oh, like eating all the other things in sight because you never just satisfied the want of the cheeseburger. Okay? Or if you want a salad, then the other thing isn't going to quench that. And so can we trust what it is we're wanting? Can we listen to those voices inside of us of what's going to feel good in our bodies? What's going to best take care of us in that moment? Whether it's the pizza or the fruits and veggies. So those are the different food voices. The action step for this specific video and then this, the coming weeks is to notice the voices. And there's no judgment or shame if you notice one of the negative voices. I'm sure they're there because, diet culture is in all of us. It's just to notice those voices and say, oh, okay, cool. I'm noticing I'm in the food police. Let's switch this to some full permission and into my anthropologist and nurturer. Hey, you're totally allowed to have that. Oh, this is my nutrition informant. Let's go to my ally. Hey, what's going to feel good in my body? What do I really need right now? Let's throw out all the rules. What do I need right now? And we switch. So give that a whirl and see how things change. And definitely let us know what stuck out to you in this video inside of our Facebook group.